Here's an experiment for you. Take passionate experts in human resource technology. Invite cross-industry experts from inside and outside HR. Mix in what's happening in people analytics today. Give them the technology to connect. Hit record. Pour their discussions into a beaker. Mix thoroughly. And voila, you get the HR Data Labs podcast, where we explore the impact of data and analytics to your business. We may get passionate and even irreverent, but count on each episode challenging and enhancing your understanding of the way people data can be used to solve real-world problems. Now, here's your host, David Turetsky.
Hello and welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast. I'm your host, David Turetsky. Like always, we try and find fascinating people to talk to inside and outside the world of human resources to give you what is happening in the world of HR data, analytics, and technology today. Like always, I have my friend Dwight Brown with me. Hey, Dwight, how are you?
Good, David. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Today, we have a special guest who we had met at the HR Technology Conference. Her name, Adriana DiNenno. Hey, Adriana, how are you?
Hi, great. Thanks, David. I'm excited to meet you again on here.
Yeah. And so how Adriana and I met was actually kind of funny because she walked past the salary.com booth and I said hi and I brought her into the booth and we started talking and she had a glass of wine that had we had a quick incident, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, all you have to do to get on this podcast is spill wine on your shirt. And then I had to take a salary.com shirt. So I have one here now.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And wear it proudly.
You don't have wine on that shirt too, do you?
No, I don't. I haven't worn it yet, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Well, you have to, please.
I will.
So for those of you who don't know Adriana, she is a product manager for Infor People Solutions. Adriana, you've worked for them for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been here about 12 and a half years. My current role is a product manager, as you state, for the HR talent suite.
That's awesome. What kind of stuff do you do for them?
I work on a variety of different products from our ATS and now Occupational Health, employee safety, lots of our well-being things for the employee experience.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to be actually talking about that today. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a coincidence.
Yeah, it's very, very much a coincidence. One fun thing that you may not know about Adriana, you played hockey and you have two front teeth? That's actually a cooler story, right? I'm sorry.
Well, I did play field hockey.
There you go.
Yes, but I have two fake front teeth. I fell off my bike when I was in middle school, and I smashed my head on the ground, and I broke my jaw and my two front teeth. And I had to have my mouth wired shut for 6 months and drink from straws.
Oh my goodness.
I don't recommend doing it.
No.
As you can see a theme here, I'm kind of clumsy. Wine, teeth.
So okay, don't play hockey. Because then
well, I
you'll
actually
get matching.
didn't hurt myself in hockey, believe it or not.
Oh,
I was
wow.
aggressive, but...
There you go. Well, maybe you should play hockey then.
Yeah.
And so today, our topic is going to be, it's okay not to be okay. And we're going to be talking about employee well-being and the impact it has on your work and personal life. And a fascinating conversation ahead, right?
Yep. Something I'm very passionate about. I had a brother with schizophrenia, so I know a lot about mental health.
I think all of us have been touched by mental health issues, whether personally or in our family or at work. And so this is a really timely topic as well, because there has been a lot of breakthroughs, whether technology oriented or medically. And I think everybody's going to be very interested to hear what we have to say. So our first question, Adriana, is can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing as far as the People Wellbeing Resource Group?
Have you ever been to a webinar where the topic was great, but there wasn't enough time to ask questions or have a dialogue to learn more? Well, welcome to HR and Payroll 2.0, the podcast where those post-webinar questions become episodes. We feature HR practitioners, leaders, and founders of HR, payroll, and workplace innovation and transformation, sharing their insights and lessons learned from the trenches. We dig in to share the knowledge and tips that can help modern HR and payroll leaders navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead. So join us.
Sure. We are changing lives and having fun while doing it. What I have found from the people that are part of the group is there's a real need to be part of a community. So talk about the employee experience. People want to be heard and they want to belong. And that's what our group does. We give you an avenue to be part of a community. I actually just got off a call with them and we did adult coloring because I don't know if you guys are aware, but today is National Stress Awareness Day. So
no, we weren't, but this podcast is going to come out a couple of weeks later. So unfortunately, hopefully they weren't stressed today, but
no. So we did adult coloring. We promote an overall employee's well-being, whether it be their physical, their financial, their mental. But the real need from it came from the mental, with mental health going from 1 in 5 people to 1 in 2 experiencing a mental health issue since the pandemic.
Absolutely. And so the beautiful thing about BRGs, and I think most companies actually have started BRGs, is that they're a safe space for employees to gather to talk about things that in the past we would have shied away from, whether from a HIPAA perspective or from maybe a fear of getting caught as that group and being self-identified. I think there's a lot more trust that the BRGs are safe spaces to actually have those conversations, right?
Yes, and we have a safe space. We do what's called Voices of Infor, and we have speakers who they have to volunteer and they only do what's in their comfort zone, but they share their stories about some of their experiences or their loved ones. It may not be them. It may be someone they're caring for.
And that statistic you were talking about, the 1 in 2, it's a phenomenal statistic because I think all of us have had stress, tremendous stress, whether we feel, and I think you mentioned this before, work stress or financial stress or personal stress in the context of the pandemic. I don't know how you can escape the pandemic without being stressed, but we're still in it. You know, it's still there, and there are still stresses and still things happening to each of us. And it's great to talk about it with other people because you realize I'm not alone and I do have an ability to feel a little bit better about what I'm going through because now I can share it with someone, right?
Correct. And I think, this thing we call life is there is no finish line anytime soon that we know of. And I think it's important every day for you to take time for yourself and for your well-being.
That's why I love this topic because it really, it's about time we start to give ourselves permission to be human beings. And I mean, let's face it, classically in the work world, we're supposed to put on a happy face or a stoic face, or we're just not supposed to share what we're actually going through. And so having BRGs that allow for that, having people that stand up in front of everybody and say, hey, this is what I'm going through. Here's what I'm struggling with. And being transparent about it, it normalizes things. And it normalizes the fact that we are human beings. We have stress, especially in pandemic time. And it's all right. And our strength comes in our ability to be able to support each other. And so what you guys are doing really, really does help with that support function.
Yeah, and I think that's where the community come in. I'm one of the 2 co-chairs, but one of my other co-chairs, Kelly, she talks about how, like animals, they work in communities. They don't ever work alone. And so I think that most people, what they love about our group is the community that it provides them. Yeah. That's the feedback I've gotten. So.
And I think with the ability for us to reach out beyond ourselves now, whether it's by Zoom, whether it's a phone call, I know people don't really make those anymore. We even make Teams calls now. With the ability to have technology give us that ability to be together, even though we're not together, that connection is still really important. And so whether you're on camera or you're just audio, whether you have the ability to Zoom with one person or a dozen, having that connection is so critical. And that's going to be part of how we work on a forward-going basis, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, you talk about technology. My kids do Messenger Kids, and that's how they've been communicating during the pandemic. For better or for worse, I'll have little kids calling here all day long. And I'm like, hang that up.
But it is important though, right? Because, hey, when we were kids, I don't know about you guys, but I used to spend all my time outside with all my friends outside in the yard, and we were playing, whether it was baseball or not field hockey, street hockey. Sorry for the field hockey thing.
That was me.
Yeah, that's you, not me. So no, but we were playing street hockey or baseball or whatever in my driveway, and that we did that all the time. Now, they're connecting on whether it's Minecraft or Roblox,
which was down down for 3 days and my kids about had a heart attack.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that is how they communicate. And that's such an important part of their socialization and part of their mental health and the ability for them to reach out. And technology is enabling them to do that.
I agree. And I think that's why even at HR Tech, they talk so much about employee experience and the technology that can do that. And I think this is one of the major drivers of why, because we're putting the employee at the center. And I think for the first time ever, that's happening. And it's long overdue. So
it absolutely is.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking subscribe. This podcast is made possible by Salary.com. Now, back to the show.
And that brings us to our next question, which is, with everybody talking about the war on talent and the Great Resignation, how do you think a group like this that focuses on wellness, mental wellness and health, how do you think that can help retain talent?
Well, I think because those employees are part of a community, they feel less inclined to leave because they have a reason to belong. Granted, comp is always going to be a huge driver, but for some, it goes well beyond comp. And I think this group is providing people that community. And I also think that the group research has shown, and it's been proven, that people want to be in a diverse environment with people. I know I had an interview the one time and it was all men. And I was the only woman that was going to be working there. And I was kind of, I don't know about this, right? Yeah. And so I feel like when you have these groups, because Infor has many of them, and they focus on diversity and inclusion and all those buzzwords, right? But the buzzwords actually mean something. And the buzzwords actually give these people who are now, most of them, home in front of their computer all day and maybe not going out many places, access to other people that they may feel alienated otherwise. So I think that's the remote thing has played a huge role in it. So
yeah, I will take one objection to what you said, which is that comp is generally the reason. I think comp is not usually the reason. I think comp is one of the drivers. It's kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back. But a lot of times it's because we have negative impressions of who we work with and how we work with them, whether it's our boss, and a lot of the research shows that the reason why we leave is because we hate our boss. And I agree with you on when you create a community of people that you like, and it's a community that you trust, and it's a community that keeps you happy at work. And we used to have it in the office where, you'd sit with a group of people you like sitting with, or you'd go to lunch with people, or you'd spend time around the water cooler, even though that's kind of passé anyways anymore. But you'd have that group of people you liked hanging out with, and that's the reason why you stuck around. When I worked in London for Morgan Stanley, we had a group of people that we identified as a specific group, and it was men and women. We loved hanging out together and going out together, and it made us feel a part of a community at work that really is kind of like a BRG, but it was really just a gang of people that liked being together. And that's the reason why we actually loved being in that group and working together. And no one wanted to leave ever.
Yeah, and we talked about me being here for 12 and a half years at Infor. When I tell people that, they almost look at me like I'm crazy because people don't stay that long with companies anymore. But I would have to say that beyond the BRG at Infor, I have my own communities within my teams. And so I work for the product team. And one thing that we do in my group is every couple weeks when we have a meeting together, we play a game. So we play 2 truths and a lie, or we do something to de-stress before we continue with getting down and dirty to work, right? And so this kind of stuff, it makes us happy. It keeps us, we actually are more productive for it.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Just be very careful about the topic areas that come up.
Yeah. Oh, we always do. We always keep it clean, and we always keep it to every person gets assigned the next time, and then you get assigned what you're going to do. And I have to say, it becomes contagious when you're in this kind of community, because then other people see it and they want to do it too. So not only within the BRGs, but within your teams, that becomes important. So,
and that really gets back to your point that you made earlier too, that it's important to have many times where you take care of yourself and you de-stress, and you're doing that through the games that you play in the meeting, and really and the great part about it is that from a company perspective, it also makes you more productive. When your mind is more centered, and when the group's mind is more centered in those cases, you can get a lot more done, and it's probably more creative, and you probably come up with a lot better solutions than if you just slog through every meeting, doing the same thing day in and day out.
Yeah, and I think that's why from an HR data perspective, I think that's why you're starting to see software starting to track things about the employee. Like there's well-being software, there's different things where you can be part of teams. That's why this is starting to be incorporated. So.
And that gets us into question number 3, which is, what type of things do you think software can help with as part of well-being?
Well, I think what happened was we were traditionally everybody in a physical workplace and not remote. And I think the whole world has gone upside down with remote. I mean, I know we work largely in the healthcare industry, and you would not believe how much of the healthcare industry is remote. Typically, when you think of healthcare, you think of clinical, which would not be remote. Right. But a large percentage of their workforce is actually remote now. And so I feel like what software can do is if it needs to be updated to account for the remote workforce. So that's one huge factor. The other thing is interoperability between the systems to talk to each other so that you can give an employee a complete picture about themselves. I also think doing things for the employee to ensure they're at the center. So, it's my anniversary with the company. I've been here 13 years, do something for that employee, whether it's write them a nice note or something like that. So I think these are some areas.
Yeah. Let me touch on that, because you mentioned the employee experience and making the employee the center of the universe. We can measure how that's going. We can ask for engagement. I know that there are certain technologies that exist at certain HCMs where it asks the employee to check in every week or so with their manager to see what's your pulse, what's your stress level, what can I do for you as a manager? And it's up to the employee to be able to update those things. And of course, the application pings you to kind of force you to make that. But it gives a manager the ability to see, how are my people doing? Is there anything I can do from a roadblock perspective to be a good manager and get it out of their way, to be able to help them and reduce their stress? And I think the other thing that goes along with that is, keep that in mind, is that you need to keep measuring, especially if they're remote, because you can't see them. I mean, yeah, you can see them on Teams and whatnot, but we can put on brave faces, as you said before. Keep measuring how they're doing, what their engagement is, because that disengaged employee is one step away from taking that call and making that pin drop to look for other opportunities. And we cannot lose people. I mean, we're already losing people because of what we talked about before, about the Great Resignation and the war for talent. But we need that understanding about where their headspace is, right?
Yeah. And I think, we heard it at the conference all about the concept of internal mobility, but giving that employee the comfort level to feel like they can stay in the organization and move to a different gig. And that's okay. It's okay that you maybe were in the same gig for 5 years and you want a refresher. It's not that you don't like the company. It's maybe that you want to learn something new, and being okay with that and I think that the software can help with that, but it's also there is some that the software can't do, because that is a cultural mind shift, right?
Yeah. Very much a human-centered, and software will take care of a little bit of things, or a certain percentage, but you've always got that human aspect that you have to interject into the process.
Yeah, managers need to let people go. One of the greatest quotes I heard about that was, it says, good leaders lead by example and showing people the path to leave their organizations to grow. The managers are the people who want to manage and micromanage and keep those people there because they don't want them to leave and upset things. So I like the leading example rather than the managing example.
It's kind of like having a child. You got to let them grow and go.
Yes.
I've never been the type of mom who cries when my kid goes to the next step. I'm happy for her that she's growing and that she's going to that next step.
Can you talk to my mom, please? Because she still wants me to move home, which, Mom, I'm 54. Please let me stay on my own.
Yeah, it's okay that I'm not living with you, Mom.
Yeah,
matter of fact,
exactly.
It's better that way.
Yeah, I think for all of us, for well-being, definitely.
Yeah.
And so it comes back to me, it comes back to measurement. And, as we were talking about this, the software needs to collect and be able to read out and notify managers when they see a spike in anything that's abnormal with an employee, to make them aware of, hey, they need help, whether it's identifying a BRG for them or identifying some time off. One of the things we haven't talked about yet is how can we get our handle on how time off affects mental health?
Well, I know all these companies are now doing mental health days. Yeah. And I support it. It's not that I don't, but I support mental health days more often than the once a year necessarily. I think it's important to know when you've reached your limit and when you need some time to yourself. So I more support like a company that says, today take a couple hours and train yourself on something and don't worry about meetings as well.
Well, and there are some organizations that are also changing their fundamental schedules too, and going to like a 4-day-a-week schedule where the one day isn't Friday or Monday, it's, could be Wednesday.
Yeah, well, there's some organizations that just want you to come to work. I heard somebody said, do you have white shoes? We'll hire you, because like a Burger King or something. But seriously, it's hard to find people right now. So it's are you available? Can you start? Because it's so hard to find people. So if they want to work 5 hours, let them work 5 hours. If they want to work 15, let them work 15. So.
And that's where technology can really help with the scheduling, to be able to say, are you available to work, and put that on the notification on their iPhones or their Android devices, and allow the technology to help managers figure out how we're going to schedule people and work around their timeframes, not around the company timeframes anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So letting the employee say, I'm available these times, and then schedule them at these times, and then being able to then have visibility as a manager. Sure. Oh, where is that person today? Oh, they're either off or they're remote today. And that's where technology really does come in hand. So you have a pulse on where your people are.
And the data needs to get refreshed immediately because it's time data. And so it's a little bit of an onus on the employee to tell them when they're available. And it needs to be an onus on the manager to be able to allow the technology to help them facilitate getting the right people at the door, inside the door, to be able to work those shifts so that they don't have to necessarily close down. I've seen lots of venues, lots of restaurants, lots of Burger Kings or Dunkin' Donuts with the sign on the front of the door, not open for walk-in service because we don't have enough staff. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. You need staff, and you need to be able to have their schedule taken into consideration, or you're going to close your doors and just be takeout only.
Yeah, and like I said, we focus a lot on healthcare, and healthcare is really hurting right now. It's always hurt, though. My mom was an LPN years ago, and it was hurting then. So it's gotten worse. And then also just the school districts. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many subs. They don't have any subs. They don't have anybody to do that role. Sure. So there's no one to help. And so with their scheduling, that's really complicated because if you're remotely coughing or anything, even if it's not COVID, you can't go to school now. You can't send your kid or you'll be looked at weird. So.
Well, it's not even looking at weird. They might actually be sent home for a week. And, you don't want that. A lot of schools are going for some testing inside a school for people who are showing some symptoms. And if they come back with the immediate test and they're positive, even if they get a negative test, they still have to stay home for a while. And so there is a lot of that. And, then it forces the person who can't go take their shift to make a decision between childcare and actual income. And
and speaking of this topic, one of the software that I've experience with is occupational health and employee safety.
Mm-hmm.
And those things are so crucial right now because of the government mandates for vaccines. I don't care what your political or your beliefs are with regard to this right now. The bottom line is that employers have obligations to track these things from the government mandates, and software can help you with that and put wellness programs in place to track this kind of thing. So.
And you're absolutely right. It's actually beyond the government. It's the insurers who are saying, if you have a population that's unvaccinated, we're going to raise your rates or raise the rates of the people unvaccinated, kind of like the smoking rates. Are you a smoker? Yes or no? And so again, not trying to be political or anything. It's just the reality of where things are. Right. Companies have to be able to maintain that data and be able to understand how it's going to affect them and their ability to serve their clients.
Correct. Similar to the way they're having to track just what state you live in to pay taxes. So it's becoming just a requirement. So.
And we're not at the end of this now. And I know the pandemic, everybody thinks the pandemic's dying down, and there it is to some extent, and with vaccinations on the rise and with actually children 5 through 11 now have the opportunity to get the vaccine. Even the kids are going to get more vaccination and therefore be more safe. And again, politics aside, but what's going to happen next? Is there going to be another pandemic? Is there going to be another issue that's going to keep us at home? We don't know. I mean, we were ignorant of that in 2020 and look what happened. So, we have to be able to be on our toes, and our systems at work need to be able to help us further these efforts to be either at work or productive. And I think what we've outlined today is there are a couple of things that'll enable us to get there.
And I think the one thing that we do know out of everything is that the challenges won't stop. Today it's COVID, tomorrow, as you said, who knows what it'll be tomorrow. And we need to continue to be able to change and pivot. And like you said, also have the software, have the technology that helps support us in that and help support our employees through whatever challenges we face next.
Yeah. And I mean, going back to our original topic is employee well-being. Mental health issues have been around for eons, just no one really talked about it. So they're not going to go anywhere.
Sure.
It's not a fad. It's something that's been here since, my brother, we always just called him, he's kind of aloof. He's kind of quiet.
Right.
Like they didn't really know what was wrong with him when he was growing up. And there was really nothing wrong with him. It wasn't his fault, but he had a chemical imbalance that was schizophrenia.
Sure.
So I don't think that the mental health aspect is going anywhere. So I think putting the employee experience and little plugs into our HR software to make the employee happier and give them a better experience it's gonna stay forever.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I saw on LinkedIn just the other day a woman who said, look, I'm autistic and I want to work, and give me the opportunity and I will prove to you that I'm valuable. And the answer is that everybody's valuable. And we need to be able to find people with specific skills now to solve problems at work. We can't be like we were before, ignorant of the fact that we need to take other people into consideration when we're hiring. And so whether they have a mental illness, whether they have social anxiety, whatever it is, we need to get past that, and we need to find the right people to do the work that we need to get done. And that's where you're right. And we need the HR technology to do that. And we need managers to step up and to say, I'm willing to take that challenge on and be more inclusive. And, actually, frankly, they're not allowed to discriminate based on those things anyways.
It's ADA.
So, there's that. But we need to be able to be more inclusive in who we're hiring, and this goes beyond the current stuff of what we're talking about with DE and I and B. Belonging means that we need other people inside the organization that represent other groups, whether they have outward facing or not outward facing issues that we need to deal with.
Correct. And actually going to the people who are on the spectrum or autistic, they actually make some of the best employees. They're very thorough. So everyone, whether you're physically disabled, mentally disabled, everyone has something to bring to the table. I once saw a video that was very profound about this, and I don't remember what it was, but it was showing like a person with Down syndrome and what they could bring.
Sure.
And so I love the concept. So.
And again, we can't discriminate on that basis. So I know it goes without saying we should be hiring people, regardless of their mental health issues, but we should be hiring them anyways. But with the Great Resignation and the war for talent, we are going to need to recognize that there are skills that we need to hire for. And to your point, people on the spectrum have some amazing skills, like, whether it's math skills or problem solving skills. Set them to a task and they will get it done really amazing ways too.
And with 1 and 2 being mentally ill, there's more than not. So, on the phone here, it's obviously David. So.
Well, and on that basis, thank you, Adriana, for being on the HR Data Labs podcast. This will be the last time you're invited to the HR Data Labs.
How do you like me now?
No.
All right. Well, next time I'll spill the wine on you. I'm sorry, David, but I hope you invite me back for something.
I love it.
So we talked a little bit about well-being and how we can find the best in people by enabling them and giving them voices in our organizations, and by using things like a BRG and technology and data inside our organizations to enable people of all types. And so, Adriana, anything else that you wanted to bring up before we close?
No, I just encourage everybody to, if you have BRGs in your organization, join them. Even if you can attend 1 hour once a month. I think people either say, I can't go, I'm too busy. Most of the time we don't even have time to get up on our desk to go pee, let alone attend something that's non-work related.
Right.
But I assure you, join it, find 1 hour, 2 hours, and if you're anything like me, if you join something, you think you have to go every time there is something. You don't have to. Be open to new things. You don't know what it's going to open a door for you. And I would also say, try to make a change in your organization. They appreciate it. And I would say just continue, moving forward. And I would say for employers, all the conversation we had, get your managers the training, utilize the software to get them that training, keep making improvements to your software to put the employee at the center, give that employee that sense of belonging. Just everything you do in the software, think about how the employee can belong more. So that's kind of my tips.
Adriana, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next time, spill a whole bottle.
Yeah.
Dwight, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for being with us, Adriana.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was really happy to I was basically begging David to be on here because I loved him at the booth and was like, we have to be on something together.
And here we go. And now we're going to be on the podcast together. Well, thank you very much. And thank you guys for listening. And if you enjoyed this, please hit subscribe. And if you know somebody who might like it, please send it their way. Thank you so much for listening to the HR Data Labs podcast, and stay safe.
That was the HR Data Labs podcast. If you liked the episode, please subscribe. And if you know anyone that might like to hear it, please send it their way. Thank you for joining us this week, and stay tuned for our next episode. Stay safe.